now going to start to assemble the puzzle cube piece that we had created previously on the computer. To do that, click on New, Assembly, and we're going to select Place. Make sure you have Place Component and not Place from Content Center selected. I'm going to highlight all of my pieces. Notice I've labeled them blue, green, orange, red, based on color and not based on shape. It will make it easier to find and troubleshoot later. To move our pieces, you just click and drag them to wherever you want them, except for one piece. The very first piece that ever comes into a file, and this will be on your test later, the very first piece to ever come into a file is grounded, which means it has 0 degrees of freedom, it cannot move. To remove that, right click on the piece in question and uncheck grounded. And now we can move it wherever we would like. To start to assemble things, I'm going to select, let's start with the blue and the brown piece. The blue because it's already in the center, the brown because it looks relatively easy. Upon further inspection, it looks like this face of the brown will attach to this face of the blue. To show that to the computer, I'm going to click on Constrain, and I have Mate and Flush. This is going to make the two pieces share a plane between two faces. And it's going to make those two faces point towards each other. If I click Apply and exit the box, you'll notice that the pieces move with one another. And sometimes it won't look like this is happening at all. But if you switch to a different view, you'll see that no matter where I move the brown piece, the blue piece will follow. No matter where I move the blue piece, the brown piece will follow. And they're sharing that same plane in between them. What I do not have yet is these two planes on this, or these two faces on the same plane. Our other option is Flush. That makes two objects, two faces, share one plane where both faces point the same direction. Now I've constrained it twice. Typically pieces take 3 constraints to constrain the X, Y, and Z axis. The last one we have is to make sure these sides line up next to each other. Click Apply. And let's see. Let's go and constrain the red piece next. I know that this face and this face should be touching. And I had Flush selected, so it assumed I was doing Flush. I really wanted Mate. And even after you've clicked on the two faces, you can still switch and change your mind from Flush to Mate. So I'm going to select Mate and hit Apply. I'm going to look at the bottom of the block, and I should explain how I am moving the screen around. To just move everything on the screen, you click and hold your middle mouse button and move your cursor. To rotate everything on the screen, you hold down Shift first, then click and hold your middle mouse button and move your cursor. And to zoom in on something, just roll your mouse wheel back and forth. So I'm going to make another Flush constraint between these two sides. I now have 3 pieces that are permanently attached. The green piece slides in fairly easily. It's facing the same direction as everything else. I want it to be a Flush constraint with the outside of the green piece and the outside of my puzzle cube. I'm going to make a Mate constraint between the face of the blue and the face of the green. And it looks like the green is just a little higher than the blue and red pieces, so I'm going to make a Flush constraint with the top of the blue and the top of the green piece. That leaves just the orange piece left, This is actually already in the correct orientation. So I am going to mate this piece of my orange with this face of my green and hit apply. I'm going to make a flush constraint with the top of the green and the top of the orange. And I'm going to make a flush constraint with the red piece or the outside of my cube, anywhere on the outside, and the orange piece. And you'll notice that there's something wrong, and this is intentional. The green piece does not come all the way down. So it was not created correctly. It was not created the way we want it to be in the first place. Instead of starting all over, all you have to do is double click on your green piece, and it opens up a dialog box where you can edit different features of it. The very first extrusion that we did only went down 1.5, and it should have went down 2.25. We'll check and see if this fixes it. And even though it did not look right in the preview, when I clicked return in the top right hand corner, it put itself in the correct spot. We're going to click home so we can see that this does match with what our puzzle cube should be. And actually, to make this look like the example I have in class, we're going to rotate our cube, right click on the view cube, set the current view as home, fit to view. We're going to select, because this should always be top, front, right side, we're going to select the left side, right click, set current view as front, and now we have a top, front, right side orientation, and it looks the exact same as I have on my paper at the front of the room.